بقعة خضراء وسط المقابر والعشوائيات. من الصعب التصور أن كل هذا الجمال والخضرة كان مقلبا للقمامة على مدى 500 عام. تحول بعد عمل شاق استغرق 14 عاما إلى حديقة تقع على مساحة 75 فدانا في قلب القاهرة الإسلامية. هذه الحديقة أو حديقة الأزهر كما يطلق عليها تكلفت نحو 50 مليون دولار، فيما يعد أكبر مشاريع مؤسسة الآغاخان الثقافية، وهي مؤسسة غير هادفة للربح تسلم المشروع بالكامل كهدية لمحافظة القاهرة بحلول عام 2007. الأمير كريم آغاخان رئيس المؤسسة روى لنا كيف بدأت الفكرة منذ 20 عاما وأسباب اختياره لهذا الموقع دون غيره.
الفكرة بدأت في ندوة عن المدن في العالم الإسلامي والمناطق المفتوحة للعامة. القاهرة إحدى المدن العظيمة في العالم الإسلامي والمناطق المفتوحة فيها قليلة جدا، ونظرنا في الإمكانيات المتاحة فوجدنا أن هذه المنطقة متميزة من ناحية موقعها، كونها خالية من المباني أو المنشآت. هذا الموقع كان صعب التعامل معه ولكنه كان مؤثرا. السبب الآخر هو سكان منطقة الدرب الأحمر، وهو تجمع فقير جدا ولكنه مجتمع معتز بنفسه. وأعتقد أن الحديقة والعمل مع مجتمع مكون من 200,000 نسمة يمكن أن يكون مؤثرا.
المشروع الذي بدأ بالحديقة تحول ل3 مشاريع، وهي حديقة الأزهر والحفاظ عليها، وتطوير منطقة الدرب الأحمر المتاخمة للحديقة، وترميم بعض الآثار المجاورة.
الدرب الأحمر بدون شك هو المشروع الأصعب، لأننا نتحدث عن عملية ليس لها نهاية أو مدة زمنية محددة لرفع مستوى معيشة السكان في تلك المنطقة، وهذه عملية يجب أن تنطلق ويجب أن يتكاتف الجميع في العمل فيها للمضي قدما.
وبالفعل فإن المشروع الأصعب من وجهة نظر الأمير كريم هو تنمية وتطوير تلك المنطقة بسكانها البالغ عددهم 200,000 نسمة. وهذا المشروع عكس أهمية التعاون بين القطاعين العام والخاص في تنمية المجتمع، حيث يتم حاليا تدريب شباب المنطقة وتنمية المجتمع، وتبدلت بالفعل حياة هؤلاء الأطفال وسكان هذه المنطقة الشعبية.
أنا المشروع نماني فعلا، شغلني، ضربني الأول وبعدين وظفني، ولمت العيال بدل التقصير هنا في الشوارع، يعني بيلعبوا هنا وبتاع، لمت العيال وبقى كويسة.
وأمام التناقض الصارخ بين منازل هذه المنطقة الشعبية التي كان بعضها آيلا للسقوط وبين الحديقة بشكلها الجمالي، عمل القائمون على المشروع على ترميم عدد من هذه المنازل.
الحقيقة احنا يعني تمت مشاورات كبيرة مع المجلس الأعلى للآثار ومحافظة القاهرة لكيفية التعامل مع هذه المنازل، والحقيقة وصلنا لأن أغلب المنازل ديت منازل عمرها أكثر من 100 سنة، هي بتشكل جزء من النسيج العمراني للمدينة القديمة، وكانت وجهة نظرنا إن احنا المفروض إن احنا نحافظ عليها، إن احنا نرممها.
أما هذا السور الذي يعود للعصر الأيوبي ويجري الآن العمل على ترميمه فقد كان مختفيا طوال 5 قرون تحت القمامة.
هو السور الأيوبي بيرجع تاريخه لحوالي 800 سنة، هو جزء من أسوار القاهرة التاريخية. الجزء ده هو أكبر جزء مستمر لأنه طوله حوالي 1.4 كيلو. الجزء دوت كان أغلبه موجود تحت الأرض.
الحديقة التي تقع على مساحة 75 فدانا في قلب القاهرة الإسلامية وسط المساجد الأثرية من ناحية والمقابر من ناحية أخرى، فقد تم زراعتها بعدد كبير من الأشجار والنباتات النادرة بعد مجهود شاق بسبب التعامل مع التربة.
التربة عملنا التحليلات بتاعتها من أسوأ أنواع التربة اللي شفتها في حياتي أو قريت عنها، ما قريتش عن حاجة زيها بصراحة. فكانت سيئة جدا من ناحية الملوحة، ملوحة عالية رهيبة، فيها طبقة من التربة ناعمة، أي مية بتيجي عليها بتعمل طبقة أسمنتية، المية بتزحلق من عليها.
وفي حين يبلغ عدد رواد الحديقة يوميا حوالي 1000 زائر من جميع الطبقات مصريين وأجانب، يشكل سكان الدرب الأحمر 20% منهم، ولهم أسعار خاصة مخفضة. وربما كان الجو الجمالي المحيط بالمكان حافزاً لامتناع البعض عن السلوكيات السلبية التي يمكن أن تشوه هذا الجمال، وهي أحد الهواجس لدى القائمين على المشروع.
سنة 91 في الأعمال الإنشائية كان معظم المشاركين في الحديقة هم سكان الدرب الأحمر من كل الفئات ومن كل الطبقات اللي موجودة، يعني سواء كان في عمال بناء فجايبينهم من الدرب الأحمر، عمال زراعة جايبينهم من الدرب الأحمر، عمال نجارة جايبينهم من الدرب الأحمر، فعاشوا مع المكان وحسوا بيه وحسوا إن هو مكانهم. فعلشان كده احنا مش خايفين على المكان منهم، لان هم اكتر ناس بيحافظوا على المكان، لان هم اكتر ناس شاركوا في صناعة المكان ده.
وبرغم عدم وجود دعاية لهذه الحديقة إلا أنها أصبحت خلال بضعة أشهر منذ افتتاحها منطقة جذب كبيرة لأهالي القاهرة المحرومين من المساحات الخضراء. تحديات هائلة واجهت تنفيذ هذا المشروع، سواء في التعامل مع التربة أو إزالة أطنان من القمامة تراكمت على مدى 5 قرون، أو التعامل مع خزانات المياه. ولكن يبقى التحدي الأكبر والحفاظ على ما تم إنجازه وتغيير سلوكيات وأسلوب معيشة سكان منطقة الدرب الأحمر المجاورة. رندة أبو العزم لمحطات، القاهرة.
Your Highness, we are really honored to have you with us in العربية channel. Of course, we'd like to congratulate you on this huge project, huge achievement. And of course, as we have learned during the past few months and yesterday also, that this site was a problematic site. Yes. It was a challenging site. Yes. What really made you choose this site rather than choosing others? And I learned that you have been offered other places. Yes. What was so special about this one that you would say, yes, I'm choosing it?
Well, first of all, the idea started in a seminar on cities in the Islamic world and public spaces, open spaces. And Cairo is one of the great cities of the Islamic world, but that had very little public space, open space. So we looked at where there was some possibility. And this area was unique. It was unique in terms of its location within Cairo. It was unique because it had no construction on it. So it was a free site, difficult site, but it enabled us to say we can really have an impact. The third aspect was the people in Darb al-Ahmar, where we had a very, very poor community, a proud community, but a poor community. And I thought that the park, working with this constituency of 200,000 people, could have an impact.
The idea, which started 20 years ago or 21 years
Yes.
ago, and it lasted for 13 years to
Yes.
achieve,
Yes.
was there a time during this process that you said, well, am I going to go ahead with this?
There were many problems. There were many problems. We had to go step by step. As I said yesterday in my comments, we didn't really know where this would end. We knew where the beginning was, but we didn't know where the end was. And so we went at it in a rational way, adding components to it as we moved forwards. And I think the biggest question I had during the whole process was whether the outcome would be what we all hoped for.
Is the outcome what you hoped for?
In terms of the reception of the park by the people, yes. I think it's achieved its aim of being thought of as their park and having an economic impact on the people living in the area. So the answer is yes.
Is this project one of the largest projects that you have achieved so far?
Yes, yes. And in fact, it's not complete because we still have to complete the urban plaza. We have to complete the visitor center. We hope to create an archaeological park at the north end of the wall. So there are more components that I hope will come forward.
All those components, when can we see them? Or you don't know yet?
Oh no, I think the Components that have a time limit are probably 2.5 to 3 years away. But for example, the enhancement of quality of life in Darb al-Ahmar, that's a continuing process.
Yes, that's my other question. Actually, yesterday you've mentioned in your speech that it turned out to be 3 projects: the
Yes,
park, the
yes,
Ayyubid
yes,
wall, and
yes,
the development
yes,
of, or the people, the social
Yes,
life.
yes.
Which, in your point of view, is the most difficult one?
Darb al-Ahmar, without any doubt, because we are talking about an indefinite process in time of upgrading the quality of life of people who live in that area. And that's a process that has to gain its momentum. It has to find collaborators, human resources, financial resources to move forwards.
So far, we've been down in Al-Darb al-Ahmar, and we've asked the people how the garden really changed their lives, or
Right.
it had a positive effect, definitely.
Yes.
But do you think that in which generation can it really impact the people or change their behavior? Because those people, it's still, if we go look around the graveyards and the
Yes.
poor, the poverty is still there.
Yes.
Maybe the garden is a beauty out
Yes,
in the.
yes.
So, when do you think that you will find a new attitude, a
Yes.
different attitude in their lives?
I think it's going to be a generational issue. I think the younger people will look at new areas of endeavor, new areas of opportunity. I hope that harnessing microcredit into our program will enable young people to start new activities. And what I'm looking at is a diversification of economic base in this area of Cairo. So yes, it's going to be a long process, but the important thing is to get a process moving, because then in due course it'll have its own momentum.
Are you concerned, or do you share the same concern of some of the people about the park, that it can be abused afterwards, that it cannot be maintained, or in the course of the coming years it may
Right.
not look the same? Do you share the same concern?
That's always a risk in a major investment like this. This is why I mentioned yesterday the public-private partnership and the notion of the public-private partnership, where you have an unlimited common goal and common duty to keep the asset the way it is. I think that's moving forward in many countries, not just in Egypt. And if we're able to build around this concept of public-private partnership, then I'm confident we'll keep it this way.
Yes.
Indeed, improve it.
Of course, during the course of 13 years of working here,
Right.
there were many challenges.
Right.
Is this going to be a model for other projects elsewhere, and how can that be applied?
Yes.
Maybe through those
Yes.
challenges you've learned something.
We've learned much more than I ever expected when I started. And one of the most exciting aspects of this project is its replicability. And I think it is highly replicable. It'll never be copied as such, but it's replicable, many of the components. And I've never forgotten a study that UNESCO did some years ago of the 100 most important cities in the world. And Islamic cities represented more than 1/3 of the 100 most important cities in the world. So we have opportunities all around the Islamic world to replicate these ideas, to invest in cultural assets, to make them productive for the communities that live there. And we have our own projects already.
So where else do you think that this, you said it will not be duplicated, but at least the concept, and where
Well,
else in the Islamic world can that?
I can think of of Mughal India. I can think of Central Asia. I can think of Sub-Saharan Africa. I can think of Maghrebian Africa. There are as many opportunities as human thought can conceive. Talk about Khiva, Samarkand, Kashgar, Turfan, Jenne, Mopti, in Afghanistan, Herat, Kabul. I mean, we have so many opportunities.
Of course, you are the patron of Islamic art in the whole world, but how do you see, how do you look at those monuments? Are they well taken care of, especially in Cairo, in Egypt? unfortunately, after the earthquake of '92, many are really in a very bad shape.
Right.
And well, you've done a lot, but yet lot and lot has to be done.
Right.
So what do you think about that?
Well, what I hope is that this initiative will convince governments, international agencies, that investing in cultural assets is not investing in unproductive assets. These cultural assets, when they are developed, they become productive assets for the people of the country. So if I'm working in a rural area, I may be looking at a water dam or a link road. If I'm working in an urban area, then I need to look for the props of development. And I think this has shown that cultural assets are fantastic props for development. They are not liabilities. You create assets that contribute to development. That's, to me, one of the most important messages. Once that message is widely understood, I think we will be able to mobilize more human and financial resources.
You've mentioned your ancestors, the Fatimids,
Yes,
yesterday.
yes.
The Fatimids, they founded Cairo,
Yes.
المعز لدين الله. Do you think that your ancestors are satisfied with this?
I wish I could make that judgment, but I can't. But some of the principles that they established, and which I mentioned yesterday, pluralist society, investing in knowledge, these are all areas to which I attach the greatest importance.
Is Cairo so special because of the Fatimids?
It's so special because of the Fatimids, but it's also special in its own right.
I know that you're restoring non-Fatimid like Sultan Sha'ban.
Yes.
It's a Mamluk.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's because that needs restoration. It doesn't have to be a Fatimid monument.
No. It's the concept of investing in our history, bringing it forward, letting it be better understood by the Ummah and others, by everybody.
You wanted to rebuild the minarets for the skyline to
Yes.
look the same.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, the reason is that modern cities are tending to have skylines which englobe and are overbearing to many of our historic cities. This is a space where that hasn't occurred. I'll give you another example, is Bagh Babur in Kabul. You can stand in the area of Bagh Babur, you don't see any modern buildings. You see historic Kabul. That needs to be protected.
Sir, Your Highness, when you look here, there is a great contradiction.
Yes.
You cannot miss. What does it feel like to look at the poverty? I mean, you are doing a great job, but
Yes.
what do you feel about this?
Well,
You've seen it also elsewhere.
Oh, yes. I have to say very honestly, I have seen change. And I believe that change occurs in our time best through building civil society. And that's what I hope this will do here, is contribute to the building of civil society. People doing the things they need to do to improve their quality of life. And that's local organizations, it's professional associations, because governments clearly can't do everything. And when you get a will of people to change and you give them the wherewithal to make those changes, I've seen positive results, I have to say.
You will keep coming to look at your achievement, to look at your project every time?
Well, I will keep coming here. We have projects in Upper Egypt also, in the governorate of Aswan. This is a child that will grow up. It will have its own life ahead of it, and I hope it will govern its life properly. So I will watch it until it's able to move on its own, in its own momentum.
Maybe my final question, since we are addressing the Arab world, I know that you have other projects in other Arab world. Do you intend to expand also in some other countries, like in Syria, in Morocco, in North Africa?
We will expand. I have to say very frankly that the potential is so unlimited that I'm humble in front of it, and therefore I have to pick carefully where we can move. We will be doing some projects in Syria, We'll be doing some projects in sub-Saharan Africa, in Zanzibar, and wherever else we can work in an environment that makes it possible to have these public-private partnerships. And obviously in resource-poor parts of the Islamic world. I think that's going to be one of our governing themes.
The end, although it's a very short time, I really thank you, and I'm honored to have this interview with you, of course, and we hope the best for you, for your projects. It's really improving the quality and the sense of life here. It has changed a lot in this country.
Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for this interview and to say how much the public-private partnership has been building here in Egypt. And that's the foundation on which we can really establish the future. We've had a lot of help from people who've been very generous in their thought and their time. They've never told me the problems they had in order to respond to my requirements. That's admirable.
And also I knew that you go step by step in each detail, and even in choosing the, I mean, that's how concerned you are with your projects.
Yes, because ultimately it's the accumulation of quality which ends up in a quality product.
And it has you have to have a passion like you do in order to accomplish all that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
indeed.
again, Your Highness. Thank you very much.